Yo, what up, Wolfpack? This is the Blind Wolf, and we back at it again. I'd like to thank everybody that subscribe, like, share, comment on these videos. I truly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. All right, come on, Wolfpack. Let's go on this journey. Y'all know I lost my eyesight July 7th, 2007 while I was in prison. But I was just thinking to myself like, man, me, my father, and my son all been to the same prison. All been through the same walls, the same bars, the same basketball court, the same concrete jungle, the same one. And I'm sitting back thinking like, man, this is just a horrible tradition that's been going on for generations in my family, because I remember when I was a little boy, and I remember when my mother used to take us over city jail to go see my father, and then penitentiaries to go see my father. And I remember just thinking to myself like, I don't want my daddy in prison. I don't want my daddy in jail. And I was a little boy when this was going on, and I ain't really know, all of the ins and outs of what is actually going on inside of prison. But yeah, this what I was going through as a little kid. You know what I mean? Going back and forth to go see my father in prison, and over to jail, and watching how crazy he was acting while he was over there. And then when he come home a few years later, I started getting in trouble as a juvenile. I keep getting locked up back and forth, and before you know it, I'm a grown man, and I'm going in and out the adult system. So it's like I didn't want to follow in his footsteps, but the life that was placed in front of me, I wasn't backing down from it, and I wasn't, backing away from it, because I was in love with the life. I was in love with being out there in the streets, with my homeboys and doing all of this and doing all that, or who I thought was my homeboys, because later on in life, you'll really find out who your lifelong friends are. But the messed up part about this is I lost my eyesight in prison to advanced glaucoma and a severe case of cataract. And I had the worst medical treatment ever. I didn't get this type of information from my father. No one told me that, boy, you better be careful, because you get locked up, you just never know what's going to happen to you. You don't know how you're going to come home. You don't know whether or not you're going to come home right, or whether or not you're going to come home stronger. It's not guaranteed. So I come home from prison, and I got advanced glaucoma, and this is something, I got the worst medical treatment whatsoever. And then boom, my oldest boy, I'm going to go visit him over city jail. I'm going to go visit him in prison. This is a cycle that really has to be broken, because now I'm thinking to myself like, man, I know what can happen to you in prison. I know that they don't care about what's going on with you in prison. And who wants to see their child go through the things that you've gone through that have changed your life in a tremendous way? Let's do what we got to do to make these, changes in our lives, so that our children can see the change in us, and it'll make them want to be better than what we are, because none of us as parents want our children to do worse than us or do the exact same thing as us. We want our children to do things better than we did, so that they can grow and have a much better life than what we did. The great Marcus Aurelius, my man, the philosopher, said, dwell on the beauty of life and watch the stars. See yourself running with them. See yourself running with them. Let's teach our children to watch the stars, because it's nothing out here that they can't do if we, as parents, don't change our attitudes towards our children, so that they can grow up and be better than what we really were. And that's real talk. Let's do something better for our kids, because like I said before, the most gangster thing in the world that you can do is be there for your family. Marcus Aurelius also said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Let's have these happy thoughts. Let's make some big moves for our family, because it ain't nothing like being there for your family. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Properly plan for your life, so we can stop this traditional cycle of going back and forth into prison, generation after generation of your family. Show big love, so we can change these things to the ones that you love, because they mean something. If they don't mean something to somebody else, make sure that they mean something to you, so that they don't go through the things that we've gone through that has caused detriment and harm to the rest of our lives. Big love coming from the Blind Wolf. Once again, stay from up out them prison walls. Ain't nothing but love coming from over here. I just had a great time out there in Philly with the Holloways. Big love to my man Rel and the whole West Philly, North Philly crew that he introduced me to. I had big love out there. I'm coming back, and when I come back, I'm doing some shorts. Big love, Wolf.